When we're talking planned burning, we're really talking about fuel management. When we talk about fuel management, we want to reduce risk to communities, and that is the likelihood and consequences of a bushfire spreading and impacting on community.
Every bit of public land across Victoria is considered in the fire operations plan, where we need to be burning, where we need to be doing mechanical works, where we need to be reducing risk across the state. Strategic plans are developed by our risk landscape teams. They then use a range of computer simulations to identify where fires are likely to impact most severely. That helps then inform our operations, and burns are then nominated into the fire operations plan, and it becomes our works program.
The benefits of burning, it has the ability to stop a fire as it comes into an area that's been fuel reduced.
On the 6th of October 2015, a fire started on Mount Hickey, which is in the Tallarook State Forest. The weather conditions at the time were code red.
And the fire was spreading rapidly towards Strath Creek.
In the path of the fire was an area that had been fuel reduced by a planned burn just the year before.
The projections we've seen about where that fire might have gone are about 10 times the size of what we actually did end up with on the day.
And that would have had the effect of impacting on more than 60 private residences that are in the surrounding area.
So the burns in that case proved to be enormously useful in restricting the growth of that fire.
We can have around about 600 planned burns undertaken in a given year, and a lot of that burning program happens in the autumn period. Some also happens in spring, and a small amount can happen over winter too.
In some areas it's not possible to get in to complete planned burning due to terrain or fuel moistures. We utilise mechanical treatments close to towns, close to communities, close to homes, slashing of strategic fuel breaks, slashing of asset protection zones, and also roadside slashing and mulching. Burning is a much less labour intensive and much more cost effective way of reducing fuels across the forested area as a general rule.
Planned burning doesn't come without risks, and there's a whole lot of factors we need to take into account to ensure that we address the risks. So we identify them, and we try and understand their severity and the exposures and the values that might be at risk.
This area is the main area of concern if we're going to get spotting.
But then try and understand the controls that we need to put in place to manage those risks, and that's what we look for in a risk assessment.
The burn may go into contingency area a little bit.
Yep, I'll give authorisation for the burn to continue.
You have the permission to ignite.
Yeah, understood. Permission to ignite. I'll advise you of ignition time shortly, over.
What we do impacts people. It impacts people in their lives and their businesses and their health and their access to and from properties and those sorts of things. So they're the things we need to understand, and they're the things we need to consider in our decision making.
We meet with the community, we meet with our partner agencies to ensure that they're involved in the process. And we look with a lot of other land care groups that are involved in land management.
We have a burn nomination process where community members or stakeholders can come to us and say, here's an area that we think is really important to burn, or here's an area that we think is really important not to burn.
Contribute most to reducing bushfire risk.
There's also local businesses, wineries, local schools and other businesses that it's really important to engage with so they understand what the department is doing with this planned burning program and also what we're doing to address the risks.
Morning. Morning, Darrington. How are you? Yeah, good to see you.
We developed a communication plan with the wine growers of Gippsland.
These hashed areas here are the previous fire history, so the 2006 and 2007, and some of our planned burns that we've done around the area before. This block here is the one we're looking to do in the next month.
Yep.
We encourage them to talk to us about ways that they may want to see that burn shaped.
Orbost being over here, we had smoke coming with the southeasterly, sit on us for at least 24 hours.
If you wrap that too tightly, will it actually break?
Yes.
It will, okay.
Brad, over the years we've got to know him quite well. Whenever we see him, he's always interested in how our vintage is going, where we're up to. Understands when they do have fires that the seriousness of the impact that it can have on us.
A lot of our staff and a majority in regional Victoria are locals. They live local. They understand the terrain. They understand the communities that they're serving, and they have the skills to be able to deliver planned burning in those areas.
Recent developments in technology have really been helping us to better understand the opportunities and risks.
Phoenix Rapid Fire brings together all the elements of weather, fuels and topography, and allows us to model fires under different circumstances. And as a result of that better understanding, that's helping us target much more strongly the areas where we need to make the biggest investment in order to reduce risk to the community.